Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of the universe, this is RosterWatch. My name is Alex Dunlap. I'm joined by Cody Carpentier. And as we sit here, Cody, we are 8 days out from the first pick, the Roger Goodell walking out and saying that the NFL draft is open. So we have some news and notes happening right now. We have GMs and head coaches across the league getting on these Zoom calls with local media. We have rumors flying back and forth. You've done a good job collecting some notes from some of the stuff that's happened over the course of the last 24 to 48 hours. How do you want to get this thing started?
Well, let's talk about the latest stuff, which has come out today. A lot of uproar was made about the Giants now going back and having a private workout with Shedeur Sanders. That kind of blew up on Monday, Tuesday. And then shortly after, it was like, well, they're also meeting with Jalen Milroe, quarterback from Alabama, and they're also meeting with Tyler Shough, quarterback of Louisville. And now today, just minutes ago, Joe Schoen, the GM for the Giants, came out and said it was just a scheduling thing. Shedeur had a late pro day. We wanted to get a workout in with him before, but sometimes players don't want to have private workouts before pro days because they can get hurt, and you don't want to be the team that does that to cause him to miss a pro day. They also said over the course of the next probably 5-6 days, they're going to have private workouts with non-quarterbacks. So they've done it with quarterbacks, Milroe, Shough, Shedeur. We'll see what they do for the next couple of days. If it's like a Travis, Abdul Carter. Oh, wait, did Carter went to go meet with the Patriots earlier this week? So Carter, Graham, something like this. I don't know. They haven't announced that yet, but sounds like that's kind of the format for the next couple of days for the Giants. Feels like that's where the draft is kind of starting right now, is with the Giants. It feels like we're pretty locked in with Cam to the Titans and Travis to the Browns. Thoughts?
Well, before I heard the Joe Schoen quotes today, and where he kind of said, "Look, man, we're not going to be the team that we don't want to be the team. You never want to be the team that you bring in a guy to a private workout. He pulls a muscle. He can't do his pro day, all this stuff." And obviously there was a huge amount of buzz and hype and everything around the Colorado pro day because it's got Shedeur Sanders and Hunter, and even just having those two guys, is enough to make that a big deal. But they also, like, it was a big day for, like, LeJohntay Wester and Jimmy Horn Jr. and the rest of these dudes. It was a big pro day. And so, and it was kind of late.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense for me to say that this was just timing, because what I had thought is, I was like, and I'd seen the sentiment, on X from other people saying, dude, if they're having this, because the way it was originally reported, it felt like from Shedeur's people, it was as if they're going ahead and doing this last minute late extra workout with the Giants. And to me, that would sort of insinuate that there might be a push and pull from within the building. Like some people saying, like, maybe we should consider him at 3, and others saying, I don't know, man. Well, all right. Well, we got to go get another look at him. We got, now that they're saying that it's going to be Sanders, Shough, and Milroe that they have all these with at this kind of, twilight hour of the pre-draft process, makes me think a little bit less like, let's circle the wagons and let's go get back and get this look at Shedeur at 3, more as all these quarterbacks, certainly Shedeur not to the same degree as Milroe, and Milroe not to the same degree as Tyler Shough, all look like guys who could fall and who could be had at a better value than taking them at 3 overall, where we can get Abdul Carter. We can, get a true blue chip player, a guy who any other team is crossing their fingers and hoping that we don't take, and we pass over for the quarterback and we go to a position of need. But we need to analyze what's going to happen here with the fact that we want to come out of this draft with a quarterback. And when they do begin to fall, like, how far up do we go for Shedeur? How far up do we go for Milroe? Is Shough worth our pick at number 34? Because Shuck's not a guy that you'd have to move up for. I think this is like, are we going to?
You don't think they have to move up to the first round
for Shough?
Yeah.
No.
You don't think they could potentially get into an arms race over getting that 5th year, just getting in the first round, make sure you get him. You are technically behind the Browns.
Oh, I just don't feel like Tyler Shuck is the locked in quarterback for
4.
yeah, or sorry, 5. Is he?
Hold up.
So what
Wait, hold
am
up.
I am I miscounting him?
I was gonna say, yeah, I think you're kind of. I
So
mean, I kind of
so
think he's in number
Cam
3
Ward,
conversation.
Shadur Sanders, Jackson Dart,
Oh, Dart. That's
inter,
when my brain went dead. Sorry.
interchangeable,
Sorry.
and then Milrow,
Yeah.
and then I'm not sure Shuck is locked in it. I think he probably is. I'm
I
not
think
sure he
Chuck's
is.
more locked in at 4 than he is at 5.
You think Shuck is over Milrow?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think that the NFL draft will see it that way. I think somebody's going to take Milrow before they take Tyler Shuck.
Okay.
I just do. What 7 years of college, but only one healthy season, one really good season.
I'll bet you. So do you think Milrow goes first round?
I'm kind of thinking so. Yeah. I mean, is there news on that? I would expect that we would have heard news. Like he's one of the. So they invited 17 to the combine, even though that they said that they were only going to be they were going to be inviting less than they did last year with the 13.
Maxwell Hairston also, per Dan Brugler, accepted today, so that's 18 now.
Okay, I only saw what Rappaport put out
Correct.
yesterday, and that
They
was
made a
7.
graphic, but then Hairston was announced later. He's just a cornerback, so it doesn't really matter. But
Right.
that was announced late.
But so anyway, like if Milrow's invited and he's going to be there, I don't think they like seeing. Maybe they do. Maybe they like having the storyline of the guy. It's like, oh, this guy's got to come back for day 2. Who knows what they like? But I tend to think that they don't invite people if they don't think they're going to be going first round. And I do think that Milrow sort of fits the bill of. I think it's the kind of thing where a team could trade up into the end of the first round to get him, to, a la Baltimore with like Lamar Jackson. Whenever everybody was saying move him to wide receiver, he can't play, And I should say not everybody was saying that, but the Bill Polians of the world, et cetera, famously. So I do think people will. Yeah, I do. I think that I would bet I would bet money on it. The Milrow goes ahead of Tyler Shuck. I know that Tyler Shuck has his fans, but dude. I think if they're working him out, they're saying, "Are we going to take him at 34?"
I think you have a Browns problem at 33, but I get what you're saying. I sort of want to make a little bit of like a brunch bet with you for Friday if one of these guys goes in the first round.
Well,
Sounds
I don't need brunch. I think it's the most stupid idea. But if you want to
We're
make a
gonna be up late as hell on Thursday night.
if you want to yeah if you want to make a bet for something manly like an actual lunch or a dinner, we can do something like that, or
Okay,
like a
so
bottle of tequila.
you call it dinner? It's called supper.
We can call it supper. That's what my grandfather called it.
But supper on Friday, we're gonna be doing the show again. Well, that's why I said brunch. It's like, we'll get up and be about it, but you fast for a couple hours and then you go out and you get yourself
All right.
lunch. Okay, we'll bet
Okay, fine.
lunch, Alex. We'll bet lunch on Friday, even though when we go, I'm gonna get eggs and bacon
All right.
because I eat that
What
all hours of the day.
what is as do I. What is
You
the
get
actual bet?
Milrow, I get shook.
And if Milrow goes first
If
round,
Milrow goes first, you pay for lunch. If Shuck goes first, I pay for lunch. No,
no.
backwards.
Okay. And if neither goes first round, then the bet's off
The bet's off.
until the next night, and then who goes first on day 2, and then we'll do it the next day.
Fair.
All right. Well, I think Milrow will go ahead of Shuck. And Shuck is not invited to be there, of course.
Well, it's because Shuck has on-field swag, whereas we know Milrow's going to show up in like an all-black suit on night 1, and then on night 2 he's probably going to have a
Not gonna be
variation
okay.
with a
What are some of
black
these?
top hat.
What are some of these other notes besides this Shadur stuff, dude?
All right, so second overall, the
Wait,
Browns. So we're going to skip past.
just hold on. One more thing about Shadur. Sorry, I moved this on, but I wanted to. What is your feel on Shadur to the Saints?
No.
You just don't
So
think
here's my Saints notes. This is from Nick Underhill,
Very, very good reporter.
the best Saints reporter. He says, pertaining to the Derek Carr news, he said the Saints knew about Carr. Now we do. He said that they've met with Dart, Shador, and Shook. He said Underhill says that the Saints are now like going to commit to a full rebuild. He's saying they're going to do it. They're in the spot to do it. They didn't want to. They've been kicking the can, but now they're in the spot to do the rebuild. Which
After
tells
they've
me
already gone and gotten these old heads like Brandon Cooks and all these win now kind of assets,
they're going to be just, they're going to win 6 games. And they're going to be picking 8th overall again.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the weird thing too, like not to go off on this because you and I, cover Texas, but it is truly mind boggling the amount of people. And I know we do our show, we talk every single night on Orange Bloods about like Arch and the draft and stuff. And I pretty much got off of the 2026 bandwagon with Arch. When did I hold on to that till like August or September? And then I was like, all right,
until the family said it's not going to happen.
The family, yeah, like Archie was like, I want him to play 3 whole seasons.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to happen.
They said that he needs 30 stars in
correct.
college.
So that's 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And everybody out here has been like referencing in their mocks. You can go read them, whoever, or they'll tweet out like, the Saints need to do X, and then, just let Rattler take the helm and just ship this thing to 2026 and then draft Arch, try to get the number 1 overall pick. And it's like everyone just kind of says Arch is Arch. It's mind boggling to me. Anyway, he said pertaining to the Saints, he'd be looking at cornerback in the 2nd round. He thinks like a Trey Amos, Savon Ravel from East Carolina, or some options at 40. The Saints pick at 40. Both of those names have been floated into the 1st round at times as well. He'd be surprised if Shador doesn't go. He'd be surprised if Shador falls past Pittsburgh. And he also thinks Shook is going to go somewhere in round 1. And he wouldn't be shocked if Shook went before Dart.
Oh, so Dart's out of the question for New Orleans?
No, like I said, they had Dart, Shador, and Shook all in the building.
I know, but if he's saying, if Underhill's saying that he wouldn't be surprised if Shook went before Dart, that would be like, that's basically him saying, I don't think that Dart's going to be picked at number 9.
There you go. I didn't think of that until you just said that, but that's a great thought. And he doesn't think Shador is going to be the pick at 9 either. So quarterback.
So if they're committing to the full rebuild, then they're not going to be rebuilt. They don't want to commit to a full rebuild around a brand new quarterback.
And if they commit to a full rebuild, I think it might be more likely they trade down than they would to be sitting there and taking a quarterback, because as you know, that spot right there, 9th overall, is likely to be some sort of like, I mean, you could take
a target. Do you know what that is? It could be that I don't think anybody should trade up for a tight end, but in the situation where the Jets do go Mimbu, then that's the spot where you trade up ahead of the Bears to get Tyler Warren.
Colts.
Yeah.
And the Saints move back just far enough where they're getting more capital, but then they're still able to get.
What could that be? What would the I don't have the chart pulled up, so I don't know what the
15-9.
Yeah, I wonder what they would have to give up.
15-9,
or no, 14-9. Indy at 14. We're talking about, right?
That's not a bad trade at all. 2024.
Would Indy? Does Indy? Wait, Indy just has all their regular picks. I thought Ballard's just a plain Jane. He just has all of his regular picks.
Yeah.
So would they just have to give up their 2?
I'm trying to look at like some historical trades.
Well, you just look at let me pull up the chart. Sure.
So 23-17 was up 6 spots. That's a little bit more. And then that was last year. Minnesota moved up from 23-17, and all they had to give up was a 3rd and a 4th.
So moving up to that would be like, is this so this is the classic Jimmy Johnson one that people don't really use, but they kind of, you know what I mean? They kind of still use it. So from moving up, it would be like 200 points on that scale, which is basically worth a third. It would be worth Indy's third. They like, and I'm not sure that they would charge them a premium because they're not trading up to get a quarterback.
Yeah.
So it's 1,100 to 1,350 actually. So 250, which is they might what it might be is they would say a proper trade that on the Jimmy Johnson chart. If the Indianapolis Colts wanted to get up in front of Chicago to take Tyler Warren and New Orleans traded down, would be that Indy would ship their 2, and then New Orleans would have to ship them back
Like a
their
6,
4.
4.
Yeah, and that makes it almost so that would be 250, sending the 2 for New Orleans, or sending the 2 for Indy. Their 2 would be worth 450. No, Indy they would have to, New Orleans would have to send their 3, and then they would probably pick up like a 5 or a 6 from Indy. So they would flop they would swap ones, they would swap their 2 and their 3, and then Indy would pick up like a 5 or 6. It feels like a reasonable enough trade. Doesn't feel like you're giving up too much if you really wanted to get up and get that guy. Kind of like, I don't know, just something that could happen. But like, I trust Underhill, I trust his sourcing, I trust his reporting, and whenever he invokes the word rebuild, it doesn't seem like the smart thing to do. To You kind of want to bring in the cheap quarterback on the rookie deal once the rebuild's already started with some good pieces in place.
And we know the next 2 classes are going to be better, period.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
So
Wait for sellers next year. Wait for
let your salary cap recover a little bit.
and then like if you're tanking, wait in 2027 for Arch or for Lagway.
Yeah. Put the bag on your head for a year and then.
Yeah, but in the worst case, like next year, wait for Sellers or Klubnik.
Yeah. Right now, the Saints currently have 4 picks in the top 100. They have 2/3, and they also have early 4th. So 5 picks in the top 112. If they hypothetically move down, that'd give them a 6th pick in the top 112, assuming they get some kind of second or third pick in a kickback if they move down. So anyway, based on all that stuff with the Saints, it feels like corner is going to be a 2nd-round play. Quarterback is not the move. And other things that we have kind of down for New Orleans Saints team needs: receiver, D-line, edge, are all avenues they could go. They brought back Chase Young this year.
Couldn't they go offensive line?
Technically, I guess they could. They still have what's his name playing left?
I mean, did Penning get any better?
So Fuaga's at left. They just signed Dylan Rayduns, who's tackle for Tennessee now, to play left guard. They got Eric McCoy in year 6, Cesar Ruiz at right guard. I guess, Membu down there would be interesting.
I'm starting to wonder if Membu might go to the Raiders.
They don't want him, dude. I don't understand it. So here's my Raiders notes. Their tier 1 is Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, and Travis Hunter.
Who says that?
Their tier 2, a source. Their tier 2 is Campbell, Genty, and
Okay,
Walker.
so this comes from the source. So what is it again?
Tier 1 is Carter, Graham, and Hunter.
Okay.
Abdul and Hunter, which are both
they're not getting them.
And then Mason Graham.
Probably not getting them.
Well, if Jacksonville does something stupid like takes Genty.
Jacksonville's not taking Ashton Genty.
Dan Brugler released a 7-rounder today with Genty going to the Jags.
Did he give a reason why?
I didn't read it. And then I listened to the Jags radio 1010 XL down in Jacksonville. John Shipley was on with
was he on with Dempsey?
He was on with Dempsey for like a whole hour, and he was going over some of the things that wouldn't shock him, and that was one of them that wouldn't shock him.
Dempsey, did Dempsey say what he thought? Dempsey always knows.
So
he's never steered me wrong about this. I just need to text him if he didn't say anything. Did he say anything though?
So the thing, Shipley says that Genty helps T-Law right now more than Campbell, and he would not be shocked. He said it's most likely Graham over Campbell, um, but if you're really, and this is what Shipley said. He said basically, if you're really trying to help Trevor Lawrence in year one, Genty's the guy that's going to help this offense the most.
In year one of Liam Cohen.
Yeah. Or
Um,
right away, however the hell you want to phrase that. Jalen Walker was also brought up, but Devin Lloyd has another year. He's got I think he's in his 5th year. They did not pick that up, but he's there. He was a top 15 ranked PFF guy this year. Devin Lloyd was from Utah. But that was a kind of a thought around Jalen Walker. I can't remember if it was Shipley or Dempsey that said this, but Graham, Genty, and Campbell were the 3 names that they had focused on.
I don't know if I'm just a victim of horrible groupthink, but I still think it's Mason Graham.
So
I can't get it out of my head. Just if Gladstone was there and they're in Los Angeles with the Rams, just what a monumental difference a guy like Aaron Donald made for the.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, that's what I wrote down. I circled this one. Most likely Graham over Campbell, but he would not be shocked if it was Genty because Genty helps you most right away. So, I mean, that would still lead me to believe it's Graham unless you hear otherwise. Or Brugler just tweets out, a 7-rounder and it's got him there. But back to the Raiders, kind of the same thing though. Like they're picking back to back 5, 6. So if the draft Patriots are the other oddball in there, where I guess we're kind of talking about this whole thing backwards. But if Graham were to go 5 to Jags, that would eliminate all of tier 1 for the Raiders. Then you would have Campbell, Genty, and Walker in tier 2. And if Campbell is indeed the play for the Patriots at 4, then for the for the Raiders, you're between Genty and Jalen Walker.
Who are 2 of the, so who are 2 of the 3 remaining guys who I feel like we're starting to get from scouts and from media that talk to scouts and all that are considered the super blues, right? Because the super blues are Abdul Carter,
Hunter,
Travis Hunter,
Genty.
Genty is considered one, and then people still consider some people still consider Will Campbell, and then so they do
Graham more than Campbell.
What?
Graham more than Campbell.
But I'm sorry, Graham certainly before Campbell, Tyler Warren, Jalen Walker, and then some still consider Campbell. So is that what 6 Super Blues with the possibility of Campbell making it 7? So I'm starting to think that I have not heard Armand Mimbu talked about in that same category.
I haven't heard any team talk about Membu or any team sources or any team reporters talk about Membu, ask about Membu, anything in the top 10. I still think the Jets and the Raiders make sense, but if you talk about on social media or on YouTube about Membu going to the Raiders, you will get jumped with multiple pitchforks.
Why? What
Fans hate it. They think that DJ Glaze is plenty good. They think that Genty's the world beater, or that you should go corner or anything else other than Membu at right tackle. I don't get it, but it is what it is. I also, then you read another thing from Tony Pauline says that he says Membu is going to go before Campbell.
Well, how?
And then you listen to Mike Vrabel talk today, and Vrabel, who went out and talked for the Patriots, and I know we're all over the board. You're just going to have to deal with it because there's a lot of notes, a lot of nuggets. We're 8 days out from the draft.
Yeah, we're just trying to hash through it with you guys, man. That's all.
Talk through it and have a good time. But Vrabel, who generally doesn't give you anything, and he kind of jokes around with the media and stuff and beats around the bush, and he's very smart because his media usually asks terrible questions. But he was asked, is there starting tackles in this draft that will come in and start in the NFL? And he said, yeah, sure there is. And the question was, and this is the one slip up to do the whole 20 minutes that I think is kind of has some legs behind it. Kind of, we already had the thought here though, was he was asked if any starting tackles that will come in and start in the NFL. And he was talking about, yes, there is. I think there's a lot of guys, or there's a few guys I think can come in and play right away. You look at the premium positions, you weigh it based on circumstances, and I definitely think there's some left tackles that can come in and play football right away. He said left tackle.
Mm-hmm. He didn't say
So you
right
separate those two things, and I know like we've talked about Membu and stuff, and the Morgan Moses thing though I think still carries a lot of weight there. So we take into account all those three things. Some of it has to be wrong. In that, what? Here, I sent a question to Todd McShay. He had a mailbag today in his
Mhm.
email. I emailed him back and I asked him about the tackles. And there's like all these different things coming out. Some people say, if you listen to like DJ and Todd will both say like, actually, and more than that, we'll say like, Banks is going to go much higher than people think. I got him in the 20s, but wouldn't be surprised if he goes top 10. Then you're digging around here and you see nobody talk about Membu. Nobody generally talks about Kelvin Banks. Will Campbell, half the teams we know have him like listed as guard. And I asked him, I said, is there a chance that we're kind of getting okie doked here on the tackle thing? Because if you go back to, I think it was the 2020 class. Let me go back here quick. Offensive tackles. I don't want to be wrong. 2020 or 2021? 2020. Jedrick Wills went 10. Mekhi Becton went 11. Tristan Wirfs went 13 after Andrew Thomas went 4. And Tristan Wirfs ended up being the best one. He's the 4th off the board. Jedrick Wills, Becton obviously moved in and out of guard. Andrew Thomas, mid.
Well, I think Andrew Thomas is a little bit better than mid.
He's fine. All
Yeah.
right. He's good. But those three guys fell out of the top 10. Now, every draft is different. I get that. But what I'm saying is, if nobody thinks that this is an elite tackle group, and I don't know, I have interest. I have questions around the whole tackle thing, though. And then you look at like Vrabel. So Vrabel publicly participated, or not participated, but attended the Texas Pro Day, and the
Yes.
Ohio State Pro Day, and the Boston College Pro Day. And then Elliot Wolf went to UCLA, Oregon, and Boston College.
So as a Raku, I mean,
Well, I
so
mean,
they
Boston College is up there by New England, and Vrabel's son went to Boston College, so I don't really read much into it. Because Izraku's also like, if he's there at the top of the second, they might look at him, but I read more into the fact that I haven't found anything that says that Vrabel went to LSU or anything that he says he went to Missouri. Now they could have had these conversations. They probably met at the combine, all this different jazz.
I stood next to him at Texas Pro Day.
So my question is just that, like, again, we talk about the flat circle of the draft in its fullest, and we're a week away, right? And if you go back to day one, or the first week or the first months of this draft cycle, back in August, Kelvin Banks' name was up here in this top 10.
Yeah. There's no odds on Kelvin Banks to go first round up on any of the
Exactly.
sports books.
Exactly.
Just like there's no odds for Travis Hunter, there's no odds for Abdul Carter, there's no odds for Cam Ward.
So I sort of still think I had the thought like a month ago, but I got talked off of it by everybody. But I still think that there's sort of some legs to Kelvin Banks to the Patriots. He talked about, I know the quote you had about a month ago about, he'd do it the SEC, but guess what? All three of these guys were in the SEC.
Yeah, right. And he said, they're like, can he play left tackle? He's like, well, dude, he's like, you can turn on the film too. He just got done playing left tackle in the SEC, and that's the best conference. It's like, what
So,
what do you want me to say?
That's where I'm at with the Patriots. I think that thing's pretty obvious. They're going to go left tackle. It's probably Campbell, but I'm not shutting the door on Banks. So if you go Campbell there, then you come into 5 with the Jags. Like I said, Jags. Shipley said most likely Graham over Campbell. If Campbell's not there, it doesn't matter. Then it's Graham and Genty. Graham makes a lot of sense, even though they got. Then the one thing that was,
Kelvin Banks is plus 3,500 to go to go pick 4. Will
dude,
Campbell's minus 225.
dude. I mean, that's like worth $10.
I mean, Ted
That
McMillan's plus 3,400.
that's
Shadur is plus 2,500.
Shador's got better odds to go 4th.
Yeah.
See, like that's a $10 bill, man. I'll burn it. I've spent $10 on dumber stuff.
Oh gosh, of course.
You know,
Wild.
so I would it's interesting. Probably Campbell, but I wouldn't sleep on the Kelvin Banks thing. And then you look
Kelvin
at 5.
Banks plus 275 on DraftKings to go top 10. They've added some new stuff since the last time I looked, Cody. He is Kelvin Banks. Do they even have a market for him to go top 5? Let's see. I'm not sure he's even on this. Yeah. No, he is. Kelvin Banks. He's plus 1,900 to go top 5.
He's plus 1,900 to go top 5, and he's plus 2,500 to go 4.
Plus 3,500 on DraftKings to go 4 exactly.
I mean, I guess that's baked in, that the 1,900 bakes in. There's Jacksonville there.
Yep.
I don't think Jacksonville's going left tackle. Huh.
Crazy.
I think I like wait, plus 3,500 to go 4. I think I like it. I might put 10. I mean, I got $10 bills for that. It's like across the Florida Georgia.
I would put more than $10 on it, but I live in Texas, and the DraftKings won't let me click the button to deposit money into the sportsbook side.
Hey man, as soon as we cross that Florida Georgia line, I'm going to go to Tampa, and I'm going to go to the Hard Rock.
That's a good call. Yeah,
I'm going to go to the Hard Rock. So there's 5. Jags feels like it's Graham or Genty, and then back to 6 with the Raiders. Like I said before, where'd that go? The Raiders would be knocked down then. Carter's off the board, Graham's off the board, Hunter's off the board, Campbell's off the board. Then the Raiders would be sitting there with Genty and Walker. And then get this. This came from Hondo Carpenter. He's a beat reporter for the Raiders. He said some GMs he's talked to have Omarion equal to Ashton Genty.
Hondo Carpenter talks to multiple GMs.
Says he has dinner with him.
Well, he's a better source than I would have thought, I guess. Based on.
So yeah.
I don't believe. I've a little bit of trouble believing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that probably I think it's more nuanced than that. I think that they're saying the same thing that you and I have been saying. It's like there's not that big a difference between the two. If we're just looking at them from the prospect that we project them to be.
And also the way he says equal could just be same bucket, being that they're running backs and the position is valued a little bit less.
And it's like, that's baked into so many of these mocks. It's like, Genty goes 6, and sometimes Omarion goes 10 or 12 and stuff. It's like you're talking about two top 15 running backs. Like, I think that, yeah.
That is weird, isn't it? You'll see a mock that has Genty at 6 and Hampton at 10, and then you could possibly see the same person do a mock a week later where they put Genty at 10 and Hampton at 12 or 20. And it's like, well, if you think that Genty should go 10 or could go 10, and you also think that Hampton could go 10,
you kind of think they're pretty, it's like,
they're kind of worth that same area.
Yeah.
The same salt. How about the Panthers at 8?
Jalen Walker, if he's there. I just think, and whenever Dan Morgan at his press conference, he was asked specifically about him, and he answered specifically. He said he'd be a 3-4 linebacker in our defense. He thought it over. I mean, You know he would have had to have thought over Jalen Walker, right? I'm more interested in what happens at 7.
So I don't have any notes on the Jets.
Well, I'm just starting to think that the Jets are. I think that this whole Mimbu thing has gone too far, and that they're taking Tyler Warren.
So you think we jumped the shark on Membu?
Flat circle.
Well, I mean, he wasn't really a part of the initial circle.
Tyler Warren? Yeah,
No,
I thought people just thought
Membu.
about him as like a blue. Yeah, exactly.
Membu.
Right. Warren is Warren had been mocked to the Jets, to the Jets, to the Jets, to the Jets, and all of a sudden now all it is Mimbu, and it's now it was Warren to the either the Bears or the Colts.
So is Membu going to fall to the Cardinals then, or what?
I mean, we'd have to have this. We'd have to have the whole right tackle discussion about Mimbu and the Bears.
I guess he'd go to Dallas. He'd probably fall to 12, and you go to Dallas and play right guard.
Do you want to have? I wanted to play tackle.
Me too, but they had Terrence Steele.
You don't think
He got a
Mimbu's
hole
better?
at right guard. You put him in at right guard year 1, and you tell him to take Steele's job. That's a pretty sicko offensive line, if you ask me. I think Dallas would be, you look at, they come back in the second round, add a receiver or something. All of a sudden, that offensive line is Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Beebe, Membu, Terrence Steele. It's a pretty nice offensive line.
Well, yes, that would clearly be good, and they've had guys that they've brought in that they've used in those kinds of situations. But I mean, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't? What about 11?
San Fran?
Yeah,
What about him?
who's their right tackle? Is it Colton McKivitz?
Yeah. And then they had Pooney from last year from Kansas at right guard.
So why not play Mimbu at right and then see if he can play left? He could take over for Trent Williams later, but don't make him transition at first.
Do kind of like Tristan Wirfs.
Is that what I forgot how they did that. Is that how
Wirfs
they did it?
and played right, and then he moved over to left a year later after Donovan Smith left.
That's exactly right. I mean, I think that makes a ton of sense.
And Wirfs was at 13. So
why not?
I think we're kind of right, though. I think that, like I said, I asked the question. I think that the Banks thing has feet, it might not have legs, but I think it's at least got feet. And the Campbell thing, it's weird, man. It's just weird because I'm going through here and like I said, I got notes on all the top 10 teams except for the Jets, and none of them, and I mean none of them, I could find anything on Membu from a reputable source. And then every team, whether it was the Jags, Raiders, Panthers, Saints, all have interest in Graham. All would take Graham if he's there. But you don't hear anything about Membu in any of those conversations.
Graham's a good player. Mimbu's a good player, man. But it's like Mimbu is just not talked about in the same bucket as the 6 that we just mentioned earlier. He just isn't. And those guys go off the board, man. Especially when you're a team that's picking that early. I mean, I know that some of these teams are going to be bottlenecked into having to take players at positions of need. Clearly that's it feels like it might happen with the Patriots, and it feels like that's what's going to happen with the Tennessee Titans. Even though Cam Ward could end up being a really good player, they need a quarterback, and they like him, and they've settled on him. And sometimes it'll just if the Jets were to take a guy like Tyler Warren, it's like that's like the best of both worlds, where you get a player in a position of need that's also a guy that you consider one of the top actual players in the whole draft. Right. But these teams are going to take these guys. I keep seeing Greg Gabriel on X, who used to be the GM of the Bears, and he's clearly a very mercurial character on X, and very, very, very hot-headed and boomerish. But I like him because he's been on our show. I mean, people who've listened to this show forever know that Greg Gabe has come on a bunch, and I used to kind of work with him whenever I was working at one of the bigger websites, and so I like the guy, and I do know he has connections around there. And he just keeps on saying that, look, guys like Jalen Walker and guys like Tyler Warren and guys like all this, if you guys think that the Bears are going to be taking some kind of, think they're going to take some kind of running back or something like that, if Tyler Warren or Jalen Walker's available, you're crazy. Those are the top. Those are some of the top guys in the draft. They're like, if they make it to 10, they're taking them. He looks at disdain with these people who Sindomari and Hampton.
What do
He's like, if Ashton Genty's there, they'll take him because he's one of the true blue chip prospects in this class. But they're not going to take any of this stuff that you see mocked to these guys. If there were a Tyler Warren or a Jalen Walker available, which makes me think that Tyler Warren's going to go earlier than we think.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like Mimbu, just seems to me like Mimbu's been pigeonholed there to 7 the whole time. And he could go. It's like, that's the chalk. It could be right. But I see this. So Tyler Warren is his under draft position at 9.5 is actually plus 180 right now. It's like it's minus 240 to go after 9.5. So they're basically saying, the DraftKings Sportsbook is telling us that they think he's going to be a Bear.
Saints could take him at 9 and just make him a quarterback. Joking. What do you think of this from DJ and a couple other people I was listening to said that they think this year could be a need-based approach more than ever in the NFL draft? How do you react to that?
Will Campbell at 4, Cam Ward at 1. Genty like something like a Hampton or something at 10.
Graham at 5. Wait. Did you just say Genty at 10? I thought of Banks at 10. I thought
No. I just mean
need-based approach.
Well, right, but I'm saying I don't consider drafting Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, Ashton Genty, Jalen Walker, or Tyler Warren as being need-based.
Correct.
I just think you just draft them.
Well, if that's the case, then they'll be the first 5 guys off the board.
No, because Cam Ward's going to be the first. And then Will Campbell will be the 4th.
Yep.
So I think that's a needs-based pick is 4.
Mason Graham at 5.
But I don't consider it needs-based.
It's both.
Yeah, it's both. It's just like if the Jets take Warren, it's both.
Vegas
takes Genty, it's both.
Jets.
Both.
Carolina.
Both.
Both. Because you're saying Walker's.
Yes.
Walker belongs in that conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Saints at 9 then.
Well, if they take quarterback, it's needs-based.
They're not, though.
Yeah. We don't. I mean, and here we are back to the very beginning of our discussion, and I'm not sure and Cody, I'm not sure we've just circumnavigated this whole thing, and I'm not even sure that we know any more now than we did whenever we first started.
Do you want to do a quick 10?
A quick overall?
Quick 10. I'll pop it up on the screen. I have it right here on my screen already.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Pop that.
What is this? Is this the PFF one?
Yep. Let me move it over.
I don't do too many of these simulations.
1 sec. All right. Can you read it? Can you see it?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Are we gonna rotate in and out?
Yep. So I put Cam Ward and Travis Hunter in already.
Okay. So put in Abdul Carter.
All right. So Cam Ward to the Titans, Travis Hunter to the Browns, Abdul Carter to the Giants. And then I'll go Will Campbell. I'll go with it. We talked about it. I still think there's a little bit of something there, but I'll go Will Campbell to the Patriots at 4.
Mason Graham to the Jet. This isn't going to be a very interesting mock, I don't think.
We got to do it.
Okay.
Number 6, Raiders. If they don't take Genty, how far does Genty fall?
I not
10 or
full.
12?
No, it could be some. It could be. It could be a trade up. Could be a similar situation. It could be a similar trade up for Genty situation, like we talked about the pot trade up to 9 for Genty.
Okay.
You know.
Genty's a Raider.
Yeah. 7. I'm going to start saying Tyler Warren, dude.
All right.
8 to the Panthers.
I don't know if I believe the Jalen Walker stuff.
I mean,
I'm very much on the fence about it.
Well, you can do something different. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I've had that locked into my mock draft since I had a source tell me that a player was telling them that they're taking an edge rusher with their first overall pick, and they're going to take a bunch of defense.
What's Michael Williams' output, though? Michael Williams has been hurt. He had 5 sacks, 6 sacks, 6 sacks. The profiles are Mike Green, 17 sacks. That'd be a hellacious pick, wouldn't it?
I mean,
I'll go Jalen Walker at 8.
Okay, and this is when it gets hard at 9. So Walker's off the board. So all the guys that I think this is how it falls, Cody, and this is where it gets hard. I know that this is chalk, but this is a super solid foundation of a mock as we sit here on the Wednesday of the week before the NFL draft. This is a super solid foundation to start off with, but it gets hard at 9. If they don't go quarterback, what do we consider the Saints' biggest needs, and what Underhill says is the beginning of a true rebuild?
So they skip corner. Genty's gone. They don't go quarterback. That means they have receiver, D-line, and edge as the top needs on our board. And if you look at their defense, they took Brian Brisset last year in the first round, and they have a bunch of mids on the interior. Cameron Jordan also in year 15.
But so
D-line makes sense.
Dude, I mean, but so Marshawn Lattimore and Paulson Adebo started last year as their starting corners.
Kool-Aid McKinstry's there right now, and they added Isaac Yadam. And they like a lot of Taylor.
But they did go after Charvarius Ward.
Okay, so
what about the flat circle with Will Johnson?
Some people think he's a guy that doesn't go until like the teens and 20s because he's projected to be a slow guy.
Right. He did everything except his 40 at the private workout.
Yeah.
This is too early for Jahdae Barron, right? But man, he's a really versatile piece, and he's the Thorpe Award winner. It feels too. What does DraftKings have Jahdae Barron's?
Wasn't it like 17.5 or something?
18.5, and it's plus 150 to go under. But then again, man, things happen. I'm stuck. If it's not I mean, the chalk thing here is to go quarterback. I think that's probably wrong.
All right. What about the Colts trading up?
To get who? Warren's off the board.
That's right. I forgot about that.
I don't know who's on the board that anybody's trading up for. What are you trying to get ahead of the Bears for?
Quarterback. Could you trade up to get a quarterback right here?
Why? With the team that you're perceiving to probably want a quarterback, you're not trading up to get ahead of the Bears to take a quarterback.
You know the situation. You're sitting there and you're talking to them on the phone. They say, "Well, I got this other team on my phone on the other line. I got the Steelers on line too."
Okay, I don't know why the Steelers and all these guys would be calling up to New Orleans as is there the only thing that could happen here would be somebody thinking that the Bears are going to take Omari and Hampton. Nobody's trading up for him. Would the Bears, would they want to trade up for would somebody want to trade ahead of the Bears thinking that the Bears might take Mimbu and think that he can play left tackle better than Braxton Jones? I think that I'm not sure that they're
What
going
about Membu here? Why not? What about just Membu here?
Yeah.
With Penning going, not being great.
It's a rebuild. What are you going to be doing? Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that that's the best. I'm not sure it's best, but I think it's a very reasonable, perfectly reasonable. You get Mimbu and you get what was it, Fatanu? They took. I always get those two mixed up.
Okay. Not Fatanu, Fuaga.
Mimbu and Fuaga. That feels dirty, dude. Yeah. And then the Bears is tough.
I give them Banks.
There you go.
Ward, Hunter, Carter, Campbell, Graham, Genty to the Raiders, Warren to the Jets, Walker to the Panthers, Membu to the Saints, and Banks to the Chicago Bears.
This is Anthony Richardson, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is AJ Brown, and you're listening to RosterWatch.
This is Josh Allen, and you're listening to RosterWatch.